next muscle that we're going to look at in the Hydrotherm How-To series is a muscle that operates in the cervical area. Its name is Splenius Capitis, and unusually its name comes from a Greek word and a Latin word. So the Greek word splenial means bandage, and the Latin word capitis refers to the head. So this literally means to balance or support the head. And a good way to remember it is think of a baby lying on their front and attempting to lift their head up, which they can't do initially, and then they gain strength in the neck to be able to do that. And so that locates the muscle on the back of the neck. But to be more specific with our anatomy, the origin of the muscle is the neutral ligament, the spinous process of C7, and the spinous process of T1, T2, and T3. So that's the origin. The insertion of the muscle is the lateral half of the superior neutral line on the occiput and the mastoid process on the temporal bone of the skull. Because the muscle runs on two sides, on both sides of the neck, when the muscles together contract, that's bilateral contraction, then the head is tilted backwards. Okay. When one side contracts, it causes an ipsilateral flex of the neck, so it flexes the same side as the muscle is on. There are some muscles that when they flex, they turn the head away from the side that they're on. And it also aids with rotation of the head too. So if we now consider the hydrotherm related massage movements that work in the area affected by Splenius Capitis. We've spoken a little bit about this area before in a couple of corresponding videos, so let's look to see if we can talk about some new movements and some new ways to affect the cervical spine. Firstly, coming right up into the occiput is a very effective place to work for releasing tension that can cause things like tension headaches. I've heard that as much as 70% of headaches and migraines can be attributed to tension into the occiput and circulatory issues. So working in this area, either with fingers or with knuckles, being able to turn the head to one side and using the support of the head and also the warmth and the support into the thoracic area, the back, really makes a difference to your work here, whether that's from a spa or facial perspective or from a more remedial massage perspective. There's some movements we can do to get behind trapezius and work on those deeper muscles coming right the way up into the back of the occiput. But there's also some movements we can do bringing the origin and insertion of Splenius Capitis towards each other, shortening the muscle, if you will, and using breath. Breathe in, encouraging the client to relax back into our hands. You can actually really feel the muscles switching off as their job is really eliminated. The whole while the client's got natural breathing, they can feel their shoulders coming back into the water. And in fact, another way of using that, bringing the shoulder girdle towards the back of the neck, allows this area, allows the head to fall back, allows a number of muscles to switch off. And with standard massage, if you're pushing the shoulders back, you're there coming in contact with the massage table. So that means that this area can't completely relax. With hydrotherm, it's much more effective to work in this position. If we now look from a holistic point of view and we look at what the muscle Splenius Capitis relates to, I've spoken a little bit about the fact that the back of the neck relates to internal dialogue or communication. So how we speak to ourselves about our thoughts and our beliefs. Splenius Capitis carries this a little bit further down past the junction between the cervical and thoracic spine Now, I relate to that area as being the transition from just thinking about something to starting to take actions or be accountable for our thoughts becoming real in the world. And one aspect of this that we need to deal with, that Splenius Capitis responds to from a stress point of view, is the concern of whether or not we will be believed or whether or not people will agree with us. So if you look, the movement of the muscle literally from a non-verbal communication express, will I be agreed with, or will I have to agree with something perhaps that I don't want to agree with, or is it okay to express no? Right now, often tension in this muscle relates to us being hesitant or worrying about what will happen if we come up against disagreement, or if we have to express it. A good way of getting these muscles to relax is to consider areas where we feel like we have no choice but to agree, like with government policy, with something our boss says, or something that's happening in our relationship. And just being able to relax in the presence of seemingly having no choice. Just allow the base of your neck to relax. Excellent. Also being aware that we don't have to try and get anybody else to agree with us. We don't have to provide evidence, which would often be held in the back of the head, or have to have a conversation to convince somebody that what we think is true is actually true. Breathe in and fall back as you breathe out. So concerns about whether we're going to appear intelligent or appear silly or naive can often then stop the head and neck from moving naturally. But equally at the same time, for a client to consider whether or not their body is going to find this experience agreeable, or whether the body will resist, will also often show up in this area. Breathe in and just let your head fall back. It's great. So the client can literally feel their body responding to what's being done to them, rather than just trying to respond to being told that they should relax.